Let's make retro Americana characters with Dollar Tree items. I'll show you how. Welcome to Up All Night DIY. I'm Monica. Thanks for joining me. It's the First Friday Challenge hosted by my friends Lisa of Our Gray House and Sarah of Jujubee DIY. Our guest host is the marvelous Charlene of Crafty Art Shack. This month's theme is Flag Patriotic. Let's get into it. DIY 1, Pepperpot Sam. So I have here a Dollar Tree styrofoam egg left over from Easter. I cut a flat spot on the top and the bottom. I'll cover it with Model Magic clay. I know that Dollar Tree has air dry clay too, so that would work as well. I'm using my brayer to flatten enough clay to encase the egg. I want it nice and thin, and I'm going to wrap it around the egg, and I'm going to cut off the excess and, well, pull off the excess too. And I'm going to press it until it's firmly adhered and completely covered. Then I smooth it by rolling it between my palms and on the table. It doesn't have to be perfect, just as smooth as you can get it really. I roll out a wee bit more of the clay and I use a cookie cutter to punch out a nice circle. I roll out a thick snake of clay, slightly tapering one end, and I'll press the wider end on the table to flatten and widen it a bit. This will be the stovetop part of Sam's hat. Now we'll assemble his hat. So I press the circle onto the top of the clay covered egg, just enough for it to stick, but not so that I alter the shape. I push a toothpick about halfway down, dead center of the circle. And now I'll push the stovepipe part of the hat into place. I want that toothpick centered to anchor it. And I'll use the sculpting tool to press the clay of the brim to the stovepipe part. It's hard to say. A paintbrush or handle works for this too. I roll another snake, thinner this time, for his arms. I'll cut them to length and push them into place. I like working with Model Magic. I know I've said this before, it's so easy to work with, it sticks well to itself, but it's really easy to reposition if necessary. I roll a small ball and I cut it in half. These are going to be his ears. And I'll place them on the side of his head between his hat and his shoulder. I made 2 small snakes and I shaped them kind of like horns. This will be his wisps of hair that we'll place above his ears. I really don't have to press too hard, it sticks really well. If you didn't want to bother with this, you could just paint his hair on, or maybe you don't want him to have any hair. It's up to you. I'll flatten another small ball, kind of in a triangle shape. This will be for his beard. I don't do a mustache on my Sam, only the goatee. The mustache, I don't know, it reminds me of Santa. Anyway, I'm going to glue that on later. It'll be easier to paint before it's attached. You feel me? I punch out a smaller circle of clay. I'll use this to stabilize the bottom, so, you know, he has a flatter bottom to sit on. And I just press him right on top of it. I've cut another small ball of clay in half, and I'll plunk that in the center of his face for his nose. Here's a side view of his nose. And we're going to let him dry overnight. His face and hands will get 2 coats of ceramic coat tawny. I'm going to kind of jump ahead after I show you a little bit of the base coating, just for time's sake. I'm just doing his hands here real quick. I'm using ceramic coat Ocean Reef for his jacket. I'll paint in the line to the back of his jacket. And it's also going to have some tails, which you'll see here in a second. And I'm just making that out of a simple triangle. And his hat gets 2 coats of Ocean Reef. I've base coated his hair and pants with 2 coats of white. You know, including the back of his head. You don't want to forget back there. I stripe his pants with ceramic coat watermelon. I start in the center. It's just easier for me as far as spacing goes. But I'm not going to be that fussy with the spacing. I'm just eyeing it. You can see it's not super neat, but you know what? Not going to worry about it. His cuffs get 2 white stripes and a red in between. Oh yeah, that's right. I dotted on 4 buttons for his jacket. First white, and then I dot over them a little bit with red. I shade the white stripes with ceramic coat surfboard, which is a lovely light blue, and the red stripes will be shaded with ocean reef. And now I'm going to shade his coat with watermelon. This will just add some nice dimension and, you know, add a wee bit more detail. And I'm going to shade in that split to his tails. His tails get white buttons too, and I dot them with watermelon. And I'll dry brush the hat with watermelon as well. There's no real rhyme or reason. It's just wherever I think it needs it and where I think it looks good. I add drizzle gray details to his hair and beard. And all of the paints that I'm using today, they're all ceramic coat. So I will have a list for you in the description box. And I'm just doing wee lines on his beard. I apply sun-kissed coral with a sponge dauber to his cheeks. Raw sienna lines where his eyes will go, and we'll do his mouth, which is basically just a U shape. He gets navy dots for his eyes, white eyebrows, and white dot highlights to his eyes and cheeks. I dry brush his face and hands with raw sienna. You know, just anywhere a shadow would be. I highlight under his eyes with white too to add some lift. Now I'll hot glue his beard into place. He gets a coat of Mod Podge to seal him, and I'm just applying this with a cosmetic sponge. A spiral of red metallic pipe cleaner around his hat, hot gluing it into place. This star is from my Dollar Tree Christmas table scatter, and so are his go-go boots, which I'll glue together. I bought this scatter last Christmas. I didn't see it this year, so I hope they still carry it. I push toothpicks into the boots, and then I push Sam on top of the boots. We'll add some hot glue too, just to make sure he's nice and secure. As a base, I painted a wood circle with ocean reef, stamped on white stars, and dry brushed the edge with red. And I just hot glue them right on top, dead center. I'm digging those go-go boots. DIY 2, Spangle the Star. I grabbed a Dollar Tree wood star cutout and base coated the bottom of the star white and the top ocean reef with 2 coats. I tape off stripes on the white and I seal the edge with Mod Podge to keep the lines crisp. Again, I'm using a cosmetic sponge for this. I fill in the stripes with 2 coats of watermelon. I'm stamping on white stars. Hold out my folk art floating medium to shade. I prep my brush with the medium. Then I'll scoop up my watermelon paint on one corner of my brush, stroke the brush on my plate to load the bristles, and I shade around the blue of the star. If you've been watching me, you know the deal. I reload my brush whenever I feel I need to and continue on. I pick up where I left off. The white stripes are shaded with surfboard and ocean reef to shade the edge of the bottom of the star. And I do shade both sides of that white stripe. I cut a circle from white cardstock and Mod Podged it into the center of the star, and then I applied a top coat too. I made a stencil from cardstock to apply cheeks to the sky, and I'm using watermelon, just pouncing it on there. Now this guy's face might look slightly familiar to you if you've seen my Christmas retro snowman video. It's pretty much the same face I used on my snowman shaker, which I just thought was so cute. So, reusing. I thought it had such a really good retro vibe. His eyes are basically capital D's, and I'm painting them in with navy. I think if you think of your features in familiar shapes like letters, it's so much easier to keep things even and symmetrical. I'm not sure I show it, but I gave him kind of like character lines around his eyes, or, you know, eyelashes or whatever. However you prefer to think of them. Okay, didn't show it, but I do show you his sweet wee eyebrows, also in navy. A quick stroke of watermelon for his mouth. Cute. I add simple star shapes, the kind you drew as a kid, you know, up, down, across, down. And I'm doing that with surfboard. I shade around his face with ocean reef. White dot highlights to his eyes, cheeks, and the center of the stars. He's getting a paper hat, but we're cheating. We're doing it the easy way. I took a scrap of paper and just wrapped it around the top point of the star to get the creases. I'll Mod Podge it into place. And I'm going to hot glue the back to hold it taut. That'll give it a top coat of Mod Podge. We're not done with the hat yet, but we're going to let that dry. And in the meantime, we will glue on some pipe cleaners to embellish. And we're just going to put them right there where the color divide is, and we're going to go around his face too. I'm going to leave the top section of his face open. You'll see why his hat brim is going to go there, so we don't really need any pipe cleaner there. To make the flap of his hat, I cut a strip of paper and I backed it with cardstock. And I did cover that in Mod Podge as well. And now we're just going to go around the edge with some red ink. We'll ink up the hat too. I'm gluing on some scrap ribbon, then I'll glue the flap over top at a jaunty angle. And then we're going to add a snippet of Dollar Tree red, white, and blue garland to jazz it up. His nose is a blue ball from Dollar Tree bowl filler. I got this from the party section. You can add some baker string if you want to hang them, like this. However, I want him to stand, so I'll glue some Crafter Square cubes to the back, like this. That spangle, all ready for the summer holidays. DIY 3, Blam, the firecracker. You won't believe how easy this is. Get yourself one of these Dollar Tree Tootsie Roll banks. They have them all year long. Take the candy out, treat yourself. What I did is paint the canister white for a clean background. Not sure I needed to, but just in case. I cut scrapbook paper to fit around my canister. I apply a layer of Mod Podge to the canister and to the back of the paper. I wrap the paper around the canister, lining up the bottom edge of the paper with the bottom edge of the canister. Of course, if you don't want to use paper, you could always paint it too, but this was just so easy. And I repeat that with my other 2 pieces of paper. And then I give it a top coat of Mod Podge. We punch out another clay circle and we'll roll a ball of clay, cut it in half for Blam's cheeks. I push them onto the clay circle, making sure that they're well adhered. We'll add dimples by pushing a paintbrush handle into the bottom center and kind of up into the cheeks. We'll press another small ball in between the cheeks for his nose. Place the face onto the canister and we'll kind of shape it around the canister, get that curve. Remove it and set it aside to dry. For his hands, we roll 2 more balls, as close in size as possible. We want them to have a mini marshmallow shape, so I rotate them between my thumb and index finger. This makes both the top and the bottom flat. Now roll out 2 Tic Tac shapes. These will be his index finger and his thumb. So we're going to cut them in half. Add one to the flat side of the marshmallow. And the other off to the side of the first. It should look like this. And repeat with the other side. We roll 2 more Tic Tac snakes for the cuffs of his gloves and push them onto the bottom of the hand to make that classic cartoon hand, you know, like Mickey Mouse's hand. Here's what they look like. I place the face back on the can to get an idea of where I want the hands to go, and I press the hands against the canister to flatten them a wee bit. We want them to lay flush when we glue them on. So you're pressing the index finger against the can, really. We want this to look like he's got his fingers in his ears. Guess what? We roll another snake for his arms and cut that in half. I'm going to taper one end and put an elbow bend in it. I kind of add the hand, but I don't really push it in there. I just want to hold it up to see what this is going to look like, and then I'll make any adjustments that are necessary. It's a wee bit long, so I'm going to cut a tiny little bit off. And then I'm going to repeat this with the other arm. I'm double checking for size and shape, and then I'm going to set those aside to dry. In the meantime, we'll shade the canister following the same technique that we used with the star. We're using ocean reef on the red and white stripes and watermelon on the blue sections. The clay is dried overnight and it's ready for paint. His arms I'm painting Ceram Coat Navy. And you want to make sure you get around the back of the arm too, because that will be visible. His face and gloves will get 2 coats of white. His eyes will be navy, and they're just kind of wide U's, I guess you could say. And we'll give him little eyelashes off to the side. Don't forget the eyebrows. They make for an expressive face. And another wide U for his mouth, and then in the center of his mouth, do more of a standard U, so that it looks like he's laughing. And we'll fill that in with navy. Dry brushing watermelon onto his nose and cheeks. And I'll follow the shape of his eyes and his chin with surfboard to highlight. And let's do under his eyebrows too. Highlight his cheeks and his nose with white dots. And I'm dry brushing surfboard around his face and around the gloves. And I'll embellish the canister with pipe cleaners. I'm using 3-in-1 glue and hot glue to attach his face, and then I'm going to trim his face with a pipe cleaner too. Now we'll glue on the arms. You want to make sure that both the hand and the bottom of the arm has contact with the canister. I popped out the coin slot from the lid, and let's put that in place. I snipped off the length of this fun Dollar Tree garland, and we're going to glue that around the top of the canister. I deconstructed one of the Dollar Tree balloon weights and took the fiddly bits, you know, the picks from it, and we're going to slide them into the coin slot for a sparkly firecracker blast. They fit nice and tight, so no need for glue. Yo, you guys, look how cute. Isn't he adorable? I love him. Tell me what you think. Here's a final look at today's retro Americana characters. Let me know if you like them in the comments section, and if you do, which is your favorite. I would love it if you would give them a try. I want to thank Lisa and Sarah for hosting and Shar for guest hosting. Please be sure to check out their channels, as well as the playlist, which I will drop the link in the description box, as well as all of the supplies from the Dollar Tree and otherwise. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and all that good stuff. Click the bell icon to get notified whenever I upload. Stay creative, my friends. Thanks for hanging with me. See you next time. Up all night with Monica.